After realizing the group of strangers they generously welcomed into their home were responsible for the deplorable acts perpetrated on their daughter, a determined couple must do whatever it takes to exact revenge and survive the night. One night, two police officers are in the midst of transporting Krug, a convicted felon, to a supermax prison. Eventually, they stop the car at a railroad crossing and wait for the train to pass. Suddenly, a pickup truck slams into the police vehicle, badly injuring both officers. Seconds later, Krug's girlfriend, Sadie, and his brother Francis exit the truck, revealing that this was an orchestrated plan to break the convict out of police custody. When the woman sees that the cop driving the vehicle is still alive, she shoots him through the window. Then, Francis takes the cash and keys from the other officer and tosses the latter to Sadie, who opens the back seat and greets her boyfriend with a kiss. As a final sadistic act, Krug wraps the seatbelt around the cop's neck, shows him a picture of his daughters, and strangles him to death. The next day, Emma picks up her daughter Mary from swim practice and says they need to leave for their vacation soon. Later, the woman drops by the hospital to pick up her surgeon husband, John. Soon, the family rides the packed SUV on their way to their remote lake house in the woods. When they arrive, Emma admits that she let her brother Dan use the house last week, much to her husband's disappointment. However, she emphasizes that she told the man to stay in the guest house. Hoping to have a space of her own, Mary asks her mother if she can stay in the guest house. So while the teen carries her luggage up the stairs, the couple finds a bottle of champagne and a thank you card from Dan in the living room. In the kitchen, the man holds a clay boat while the wife despondently watches. On the wall is a picture of their son, Ben, who died last year, a loss the couple hasn't gotten over. Meanwhile, Mary picks up a gold necklace from her dresser with an encouraging message from her late older brother engraved on it. Then, the teen walks to the boathouse, takes off her dress, and swims in the lake. Later, she washes up and realizes that the shower rod keeps falling off the wall. Eventually, Mary, now wearing the necklace Ben gave her, returns to the main house and hears John trying to fix the broken microwave. Then, she asks Emma if she can borrow the car to meet up with her friend Paige in town. The mother says she was hoping they could have dinner together, but the daughter thinks her parents could do with some alone time. So the father gives her the keys and some cash, and the worried mother says to keep her phone with her at all times. At the general store where Paige works as a cashier, she offers her condolences to Mary for her brother's passing. Moments later, Justin asks to buy a pack of cigarettes along with the other items, but Paige says he has to be of age. So as a compromise, he asks her to give him a pass and they can join him back to his motel room to enjoy illicit substances. Intrigued, the cashier rings up his groceries and tells him his total. As the customer takes a wad of cash from his pocket, one of the bills has blood all over it, so he quickly hides it before handing over a clean 20. Later, Paige tells Mary to wait in the vehicle while she grabs the contraband. When the teen checks her phone, she sees that it doesn't have any service. Suddenly, a maid bangs on the window to ask if she dropped her room keys, so she exits the car and explains that it isn't hers. Tired of waiting for her friend, Mary enters the room and sees them sitting on the bed and sharing a spliff. After Paige pressures her into taking one hit, the teen answers a call from her worried mother who says there's an oncoming storm. Due to the poor signal, the call starts breaking up, so Mary says she'll spend the night at her friend's house and be back first thing tomorrow morning. Annoyed, the woman tells her husband that they should have never let their daughter leave, so the man reminds her that they can't do anything about it because Mary has the car. To calm her nerves, Emma grabs a bottle of wine for them to enjoy. Meanwhile, the friends ask Justin about his family, and he shares that he moves around a lot because of his father and uncle and that his mother died a long time ago. Then, Mary confides that she lost her brother Ben a year ago, and he offers his condolences. Eventually, the pair give Justin a makeover by convincing him to put on his uncle's shirt and fix his hair. Suddenly, the door opens and Krug, Francis, and Sadie enter, revealing that he's the convict's son. The nervous teen explains that he thought they weren't going to be back for a while, and the woman removes her top and says they had a change of plans. Upset that his son brought two strangers to their room, Krug punches him in the stomach and shows him a newspaper with their pictures taken by the police car camera during the attack. Terrified, the pair promises not to tell anyone about them. But Francis grabs Paige from behind and threatens her with a knife, so Mary hands over the car keys so they won't hurt her friend. However, Krug says they can't risk having them leave, prompting the desperate cashier to break free and run to the bathroom. She locks the door and tries to use her phone, but she doesn't have a signal. Then, she sees a patrol car outside, but she can't open the window. Seconds later, Frances breaks down the door, pulls her to the floor, breaks her phone, then slams her head against the sink. Then, the man takes Mary's phone and crushes it under his shoe. Krug tells his son that they're in this predicament because he puts his own needs before others, and whatever happens to their captives is his fault. Soon, the group leaves the motel in the SUV, and in the back seat, Frances and Sadie begin inappropriately touching the hostages. When they spot a police car on the highway, they cover the teens' mouths to make sure that they don't attract any unwanted attention. Eventually, the convict turns the vehicle onto a dirt road into the forest. When they can't figure out which way to go at an approaching fork in the road, Mary tells them to turn left. While the captors aren't paying attention, the teen pushes the car lighter with her foot. Seconds later, the lighter pops out, and when she sees that they just passed the turn to their lake house, she grabs the device and uses it to burn Sadie's face. In the chaos, Paige tries to fight off Frances while her friend opens the door, hoping to jump out. However, the woman grabs her and closes the door, but the mayhem leads to Krug losing control of the vehicle. The car slides on a hill and slams onto multiple trunks on the way down, and it finally stops when it hits a tree. Moments later, Paige crawls out of the wreckage, but the convict knocks her to the ground. Realizing that he broke his nose during the crash, Francis expresses his anger by kicking the captives. Meanwhile, Sadie sees the burn mark on her face and worries she'll be scarred for life. When the woman attacks her friend, Paige knocks her off and makes her run for it. Krug grabs Mary and orders his girlfriend and brother to run after the other hostage. The scared teen reaches the edge of the forest and sees a construction site. She tries to call for help, but the loud machinery masks her screams. Suddenly, Sadie tackles her and she shakes the woman off, but the waiting Francis knocks her to the ground. The man readies his weapon to shoot the teen, but his companion reminds him that Krug wants her back alive, so she tears Paige's blouse off and uses it to tie her hands. Then they reunite with the others. Later, the convict says it's time for his son to become a man, so he forces Justin to grab Mary. Paige calls Krug pathetic, prompting the offended man and his brother to stab her in the stomach and back simultaneously. While the dying teen struggles to breathe, the man tells Mary to lie to her friend and tell her that everything's gonna be alright. She refuses, so he throws her to the ground, and while Sadie helps hold her down, he takes advantage of her. The teen looks at Justin and begs him for help, but he sits completely frozen, scared to go against his family. During the deplorable act, Mary sees Paige take her final breath. Krug rips the necklace from her body and tosses it aside. Then his son picks it up off the ground. After the vile deed, the convict tells Justin that he missed out on his opportunity, and his companions exhibit momentary remorse for what they allowed to happen. Minutes later, Mary secretly picks up a rock and hits Krug in the face with it. As she runs away, the man tries to shoot her, but he misses. Eventually, the teen gets to the lake and she starts swimming toward their house. The convict fires multiple shots into the water but keeps missing. Finally, he hits her on the back, and when she lifelessly floats on the surface, the group assumes that she perished. Seeing the storm approaching, they return to the woods where Krug forces his traumatized son to walk with them as they look for shelter. Later, the group ends up at the lake house, and when the couple opens the door, the convict lies and says they were in a vehicular accident. In the kitchen, the surgeon snaps Francis's nose back into place and says they still need to go to a hospital. Krug asks if they can get a ride to town, but John says their daughter has the car and won't be back until the morning. While the convict tries to use the landline to call a cab, the doctor starts stitching his brother's nose. Suddenly, lightning causes the power to go out, prompting John to head outside to turn on the generator. When Emma asks what they're doing in the middle of nowhere, Krug lies and says their father used to take them to the lake every summer to go fishing, and he wanted to continue the tradition with his son. Eventually, John starts up the generator, and the lights in the house turn back on. After the surgeon finishes stitching up his nose, Francis creepily thanks Emma as she applies antiseptic cream to the wound. Meanwhile, in the lake, the wounded Mary holds onto the buoy near the boathouse, revealing that she survived and managed to swim home. Later, they learn that the phone lines are down, so John offers that the group stay the night, and his wife says they can sleep in the guest house. Then, Justin places his empty mug in the sink, and to his horror, he sees Mary's picture on the fridge. Emma walks in and says that she is the daughter who took the car for the night. Overwhelmed by the information, the guilty teen collapses on the floor. When the woman asks if he's okay, he says he's fine and heads to the bathroom. Moments later, Krug knocks on the door and warns him to keep his mouth shut. Then, Justin takes out Mary's necklace, returns to the kitchen, and wraps it around his mug. When he turns around, his father tells him they're being shown to their room. Meanwhile, Mary slowly crawls out of the water and finally makes it onto land. In the guest house, Emma lights candles and tells them to come to the main house if they need anything. After she bids them goodbye, they thank her for her hospitality. As the brothers watch the woman return to the main house, Francis says he thinks she likes him. Unfortunately, the mother doesn't hear her daughter crawling on the ground at the edge of the property. Inside, Emma tells her husband that she finds the unexpected guests weird. Suddenly, they hear a banging noise from the porch and decide to investigate. To their horror, they realize that it was their daughter rocking the chair back and forth to catch their attention. John sees that Mary has been shot, so he carries her inside and lays her on the coffee table. He administers CPR until the teen expectorates water, and he tells Emma to get a knife so they can stop the bleeding. While grabbing towels in the kitchen, the woman sees her daughter's necklace wrapped around Justin's mug. In the living room, the doctor heats the blade in the fireplace and uses it to cauterize the bullet wound. While inspecting Mary's body for other injuries, the man sees blood on her thighs and makes the horrifying assumption that she was taken advantage of. The teen whispers that she can't breathe, so the doctor makes an incision on her back and inserts a tube connected to a glass of water to help equalize the pressure around her lungs. When the daughter stabilizes, Emma shows her husband the necklace and she swears Mary was wearing it when she left. She believes the people in the guest house were responsible for what happened, and Justin left the necklace to warn her. So the man tells his wife that the teen was taken advantage of, distressing the mother. Then, she remembers how Justin looked like he'd seen a ghost when he saw Mary's picture. To reassure the woman, John tells her that they need to be ready to do whatever it takes to protect themselves and get their daughter to a hospital. In the guest house, Justin eyes his father's pistol on the bedside table. Later, the surgeon runs to the boathouse to prepare the vessel for their departure, but he realizes he doesn't have the keys. Concurrently, the son waits for Krug to go to the bathroom and the others to fall asleep before taking the weapon. While John searches for the boat keys in the tool shed, Francis appears in the kitchen and asks Emma for something to drink since he can't fall asleep. The woman lies and says her husband's asleep upstairs, and when the man moves toward the fridge, she realizes she can't have him see Mary's picture, so she flirts with him and suggests they drink some wine instead. Emma slyly removes the picture from the fridge door as she grabs a bottle from inside. In the tool shed, John takes a hammer off the wall to use as a possible weapon. Meanwhile, the woman tells Francis to head to the living room so they can enjoy their drinks by the fire. To his surprise, he sees Mary on the coffee table, and he realizes whose house they're in. Suddenly, Emma smashes the wine bottle on his head, and when he dazedly returns to the kitchen, the woman stabs him with a knife. The man removes the blade from his chest and chases her to the dining room. He manages to hold her down on the table, but she knees his groin and pushes him off. As Emma crawls to the door, John appears and swings the hammer at the deranged man. Francis runs to the window to call for help, but the loud storm masks his screams. Then, the doctor grabs him and twists his broken nose, and in the scuffle, they end up back in the kitchen. Eventually, the couple works together to try and drown him in the sink. When his arm gets caught in the garbage disposal, John flips the switch, slicing up his appendage. As Francis screams and thrashes, the surgeon embeds the hammer claw into his head, ending his life. Later, the pair sneaks into the guest house, but Justin catches them entering the bedroom. At first, he points the weapon at them, but eventually offers up the pistol to John. So the doctor quietly makes his way across the room to take the gun, but when he slides the hammer, the sound wakes Sadie. He fires the weapon and the bullet grazes her neck. As the unhinged woman attacks the surgeon, causing him to drop the pistol, Krug jumps to his feet and pushes the heavy mattress on Emma. John flings Sadie off his shoulders, but the convict throws the mattress on him. When the doctor finally picks up the gun, he tries to shoot Krug, but the man jumps out the window. The convict heads to the main house and he's confused as to why the couple suddenly attacked them. In the living room, he finds only bloody rags on the coffee table, implying that the parents moved their daughter somewhere safe. Then, he goes to the kitchen where he sees his brother's lifeless, mangled body on the floor. Meanwhile, John and Justin work together to take down Sadie, who's using the broken shower rod to fight them off. Eventually, Emma appears and shoots the crazy woman in the head. Minutes later, the doctor returns to the house to search for Krug. In the living room, he sees his open wallet on the coffee table and realizes that the convict now knows that they're Mary's parents. Concurrently, Emma tries to look for the boat keys, but she comes face to face with Justin. Later, she checks on the daughter, whom they placed in the boat earlier. In the house, Krug tosses random objects in different rooms to confuse the surgeon. He looks out the window and deduces that the couple's trying to escape using the boat. Seconds later, John enters the bedroom, sees the open window, and thinks the convict made it outside. Suddenly, Krug steps out of the shadows to attack the surgeon, and a fierce battle ensues. Meanwhile, Justin arrives at the boathouse and says he couldn't find the keys, revealing that he's decided to help the family out. Then, he sees the daughter on the boat and the gun by Emma's feet. In the house, the convict throws John around the hallway and kicks him through the second-story banister, and the doctor falls several feet to the floor below. Krug hits the father across the face, and he knocks off the champagne flutes from the table. Then, the deranged man taunts him by recounting the sickening details of what he did to Mary. As the doctor lies on the floor, he looks around and sees that Dan left the boat keys inside the champagne flutes. Seconds later, John defiantly says that he wants to hear Krug beg for his life. He hits the convict with a small table and tries to escape, but the unhinged man chokes him out with a fire poker. When he's about to stab the doctor with a sharp metal rod, he hears the gun click behind him. Justin finally stands up to his father, but when he pulls the trigger, he realizes it's out of bullets. Enraged, Krug expresses his disappointment at his son and he drives the fire poker into the teen's torso. Suddenly, Emma appears and hits the convict on the head with a fire extinguisher. Then, she and her husband work together to bring him to his knees. Finally, the woman knocks Krug out with another blow to the head. When the storm clears up, Justin and the family ride the boat across the lake, hoping to take Mary to the hospital as soon as possible. Sometime later, Krug wakes up in the tool shed and says he can't move his body. Then, John explains that because he didn't have any rope or duct tape, he improvised by making precise incisions on the man's body to paralyze him. When the convict asks what he's gonna do to him, the doctor calmly places his head inside the broken microwave, which he somehow rigged to turn on even when the door is open. Seconds away from completing his revenge plan on those who harmed his daughter, the surgeon presses the button on the device, and the intense electromagnetic radiation causes Krug's head to overheat and burst like a watermelon.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.